That's a good thing.
I didn't.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us for our abbreviated version of the New Knowledge Program. The coronavirus has certainly changed how many of us are conducting business, and this happens to be one of them. And I really appreciate Jonathan offering to come up and present this session for us. And again, a different type with doing it as a webinar. So I want to introduce Jonathan Eviden with Aegis IT Solutions. And Jonathan, please share a little bit about what you and what your company has to offer, and we'll get into the new knowledge. But thanks everybody for joining us.
Thanks, Sandy. Yes, my name is Jonathan, and I'm the owner and founder of Aegis Information Technology Solutions. We provide quality IT consulting and business solutions founded on personal character and integrity. I've been in the computer field since I was a kid. I guess my dad brought home a computer when I was about 7, and that was 30 years ago. So I have been fixing computers and working on computers for about that time frame. It has paid the bills for as long as I have been out of college, and I really enjoy it. It is a passion that has turned into a full career. So we provide support here locally. Primarily, we do a lot remotely as well. I like to say my parents live out of state, so I do a lot of remote support for them. But that's how that has a fantastic thing in this day and age, because we have a lot more options now than even back in the 90s and when I first started getting into computers as a career. So today I wanted to spend some time on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a wonderful tool that has helped me immensely as a business. We're going to spend some time looking at how to find a job, but I'm also going to talk about LinkedIn as a general principle, as a general platform, and tips and tricks that you can use to more effectively use this for yourself and for your business. I don't necessarily look for it to find jobs, but I do use it to network heavily, and I do use it for helping me connect with companies that I might be able to do business with, as well as individuals. So the same principles apply. They have a whole section and platform for searching for jobs, but I'm going to spend some time talking about preliminary things that make your search be more efficient and better before you even look for your first job. There's also the other important thing to note is that LinkedIn is a tool. If you set it up and use it efficiently, that's great. That will help you. If you don't use it efficiently, then just like any other tool, it's not going to be that good. Additionally, the topic of this conversation is how to use LinkedIn to find a job, but it's not. Hopefully, if you're looking for work, this is not the only thing that you'll be doing. This is just one of several tools that I hope you would use if you are serious about looking for work. The other platforms include something like Indeed and Monster.com and Dice.com, and there's job searches for particular industries. There's recruiters, depending on the type of work you're doing. I can't think of any time anyone uses a newspaper these days, but there's still jobs that are posted on newspaper. I've heard of friends finding work on even Craigslist. So your mileage may vary. There's plenty of options, but we're going to focus on one today, and we're going to talk about how to use this more effectively. So first things first, normally if I was in person, first thing I do is ask how many people have a LinkedIn account, look for show of hands. I would hope that most everyone does at this point, but I can't necessarily take it. There we go. Melissa raised her hand. Fantastic. So yes, that's great. So basically the first thing to do would be to get set up with a LinkedIn account. That's just linkedin.com, and you would need to sign in. So if you don't know what your password is, you can always do a password recovery. First things first would be to get signed up for an account. I have been on LinkedIn probably, I was trying to remember this, probably since 2005, 2006, somewhere in that time frame. I graduated college in 2004, and I don't think I would have been on that before then. So I've been on the platform for close to 15 years, if not at the 15-year mark. So the platform has changed significantly in that time. Right now, LinkedIn is currently owned by Microsoft. It was purchased about 4 years ago. And one of the major changes that Microsoft did was to try to better monetize the platform. What that meant, or what that means, is that there are a number of features that I used to be able to do 10 years ago that you have to pay for to get access to. That's their prerogative. That's their choice. They paid however many billions of dollars to purchase the platform. They have to make that money back somehow. So 8 years ago, when I was getting started, there were more options available that I did not have to pay for than what I currently do now. So as a free account, which probably the vast majority of people have, there are certain things that you just can't do. Like, I used to be able to go through and scroll through the connections of all my friends and look for people that they're connected to. You can't do that anymore. If you start scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, you get a warning message that says, hey, you seem like you're looking for things, please pay for an account. And that's their prerogative. They have that freedom to do that. It's their platform. Another principle is if you're not paying for the product, you are the product. So just remember that. I use it for free. I don't necessarily have a reason to pay for LinkedIn, but they do give you a bunch of options if you want the premium account. The people that use the premium account are more like recruiters, because then that gives them the ability to send unsolicited messages to people. Whereas with a free account, you have to know the person basically in order to be able to contact them. So that's fine. Once again, that's their prerogative. Sandy, I saw a hand raised, but I'm not looking at the chat. So if there's a question that comes in, just feel free to shout it out, or whenever's good to.
I think they were just saying hello, but
okay.
If just remind if you do have a question for Jonathan, hit the Q&A tab or the chat, and we'll get to them at the end.
And I will not be looking at the chat just to be able to focus what's on the screen, but Sandy's going to ask questions at an appropriate time. So yeah, by all means, post your questions in the chat and we will make sure to get to them. All right. So when you create your account, there are a lot of options that you have access. So there's a lot of opportunities to put information in. And I'm going to go through all this as a preliminary because this is a great opportunity for people to see information about you, even as they're vetting potentially a resume or a job application, or in my case, if they're trying to find somebody within a particular industry. Now, to show just how effective LinkedIn has become, I did a Google search for my name. I've got this over here. Oops, sorry. I need to turn those alerts off. I did a search for my name on Google. The first hit is my website, which is a good sign. So that's about me on my company page. The second hit is my LinkedIn profile account. So that's how high on the rankings LinkedIn is for my name. Now they're not advertising anything with my name. They're not doing SEO on the name Jonathan Evenden. It just so happens that they have that much traffic, they have that much popularity, and they have that much rank. Not to mention it's been there for that long. I've had this link longer than I've had this link. So my LinkedIn profile ranks second on my name, even though there's other things out there. Like, this is above my Facebook page, frankly, although that's a whole separate conversation because I have my Facebook page basically set to private. So LinkedIn can be an excellent way if you leverage it right. So that's just how highly ranked it is for me. So if you're used to Facebook, I guess they sort of compete with each other in terms of who's making what changes. You've got your profile information, I guess, on the left side instead of on the right side. You've got a feed down the middle with all these people. These are all your connections. These are all these companies that you're connected to. So there's all sorts of opportunities related to that. They've got, your messages. You can message with people. An important thing is if you're looking for a job, they do have this special section here for who's hiring right now. So they've got these promoted posts that they're linking here, and here's, if you really need a job and it's the difference between paying your bills versus not paying your bills, here's all these companies that are hiring that are in high demand. That doesn't necessarily mean it's in your area, aka local here, but they're specifically wanting to promote people that are hiring. So that's a pretty good thing, especially if it meant that you're unemployed and you need to pay bills. Okay, so a couple things to note is, first things first, let's talk about your profile. So there are different settings that you can put for visibility. if I go to my public profile and I'm not logged into LinkedIn, this is what someone would see. So you can see my work history down here, and they show the most recent things. I've got more than that, but I don't have the opportunity to scroll through it without logging in. It shows that I've got a bunch of connections. They don't give exact numbers. I think my exact numbers are like 930 connections or something like that. They give different tiers depending on how many people you're connected to. So you can see that information. You can see the general location. They have this up here because this is the most recent job I added, even though it's not the primary. That's one of the quirks of LinkedIn. You can see recommendations. I set it so that my recommendations are public, and they really want you to join in order to see the full profile. But keep in mind that you have control over what appears. Now, the one thing in retrospect that, oh, you know what? No, I do have it here. So see how I've got a headshot here that does not show up here. Once again, that's LinkedIn's decision. But I do make sure that I've got a headshot. If you're trying to find somebody, I highly recommend, especially here on LinkedIn, to put some sort of picture. This hasn't been updated in a while, but it's the best looking, like it's the most professional looking picture I've had taken. So we'll just pretend like there's a little bit more receding hairline, a little bit more gray. But other than that, it looks about the same. So you can also put your companies. So the important thing here is let's go here. So let's go say view profile. So one of the first things to do is fill out your profile section. And I highly recommend putting as much in here as seems pertinent. So the reason for that is because your profile will show up publicly. Your profile will show up as people are looking for you. And if you're applying for jobs here on LinkedIn, they're going to be able to see all this information. So the more you have filled in, the better it is for you. I haven't updated this about in a while, so let's take a look at what you can do here. You can start filling in some of your skills. This section I filled in long before they started adding areas of expertise. They do have the ability to put in specific skills. You can put in up to 50 specific skills that you're familiar with. I was just editing it earlier today because I realized that some of this stuff hasn't been touched in a long time. So this was a bit more before that, and I started adding particular things that I was known for. That section needs to be updated. Featured. So you can, if you're someone like in graphics, I'm not in graphics, but if you're someone like in graphics or web design, you can start adding featured items to here. I don't really have particular content because I'm not a content creator. So if you're a graphic designer, if you're a website designer, even a artist or something like that, you can start putting some of your content up here to highlight what it is that you've done. In my case, we mostly, we're more fixing things, so there's not really something to put out on the featured. So you do get some information about people who viewed your profile. In order to see who exactly viewed your profile, you have to pay for it. So I can get some information here, but notice how they say it's in private mode, and notice how they say unlock the rest of the list for premium. So you'd have to pay for it. They really want to monetize your profile, and this is just one of the hooks that they get to help you see if someone's looking at it. Because if someone's looking at your profile, maybe there's an interest there to connect and some other stuff. So just one of the many ways that they want to monetize it. 10 years ago, I used to be able to see that list in more detail without paying for it. You also have, so the next section is your experience. I would highly recommend filling this out as much as possible. They put this at the top because it's the most recent thing I added. This is my primary work, and I could put more information down here, but it's pretty at least for what I do, this is the bulk of what I do. I could start adding services. I do have a company page for Aegis Information Technology Solutions, and we have more information on the company page. I have down here, this is a professional networking group that I'm in, and I'm the secretary treasurer. I put that in there because a lot of people from my BNI group are on LinkedIn, and we make connections that way. So that's why I find that to be valuable for my work experience. This is an old, previous job. There's a section for education. So you can put your, you can put whatever degrees you have. Let's say you want to add something here. You can put your bachelor's, you can put any number of things down here. So once again, that just gives credibility to your profile. I just have the one, so we're just going to leave that. All right, so next important thing, skills and endorsements. So this gives you the opportunity to focus in on particular skills within your industry. And I highly recommend filling this out because people searching for these skills can find your profile depending on if you want them to. So I've got, let me show you the list here because I was just updating this. Sorry, I just had, so I can add something here. So let's say I wanted to put virus removal. Okay, so I type the word virus. Virus removal is fairly high up on the list because in my field, it's fairly common task. Okay, so now I can add virus removal. And what also happens is as you add skills, you can ask for endorsements on these particular skills. So like in my case, if I happen to remove a virus from someone's computer, I could ask them to go on LinkedIn and click the button that says, yes, he knows how to do virus removal. And here's all the different, they give you a section for your top 3 skills. So I've got networking, system administration, and Windows Server. Those are probably the top 3 things I end up doing for work, and it's the things I enjoy the most. So you can see that I've got 43 endorsements from different people on networking. I've got 10 different endorsements on system administration and 9 different endorsements on Windows Server. So it might be that I've got other skills that I'm more highly endorsed for, disaster recovery 64, but I would rather personally highlight these skills instead of necessarily disaster recovery. So these are all different skills, industries that I'm proficient at or comfortable with, or I do on a regular basis. There's a long list of things that you can add. Some of these I just added: Windows 10, Dell Server 2019. These are skills that I just added recently, and so they've got no endorsements, but I've got endorsements for basically everything else. So what that does is, as people are looking for my profile, it helps them see that, hey, other people are essentially recommending or know that you know this skill, and that's of value to you, especially as you're applying for jobs or looking to network or looking to meet people. So highly, highly, highly recommend getting this list. And since they let you have 50 on there, guess how many you should have on there? You should have 50, because that will help you boost your profile. Another great thing is recommendations. You can both give recommendations and receive recommendations. You can ask for recommendation. What this does is people that you've either done work for or are employees with or colleagues or whoever. So for example, Ken, he is my business partner with Aegis. He's my business partner with AGS, which is another company that we have. So we've got recommendations back and forth as an old client. So yeah, we can go through. You can see all these different recommendations that people have taken the time to write down, which is great. So I could ask for a recommendation, and I'm let's just say this is a friend that I've not ever asked for a recommendation from. I'm going to click him, and it's going to ask you who you are. I'll put it down in the context of he's a client of mine because we're clients of each other. So he does my insurance and I do his IT. All right. So I can specifically ask Andrew. Boom. All right. That's great. That's how simple it is. It's a few clicks. My request was sent. And now hopefully if he's in a generous mood, he'll sit there and write a recommendation. So what you can do is as you're collecting contacts and as you're making connections with people, you can also ask for recommendations. This helps build out your profile. This helps gives credibility, and it's a great thing to do. But also on the other hand, make sure you're giving recommendations as well. Motto of BNI is givers gain. The more you give, the better things will, you come back to you. So that's also something that I like to try to do as well. All right. So finally, down here, they call it interests in this section. These are groups. So I have my groups down here. These are groups sort of like, basically, if you think of them as Facebook groups, these are groups around a particular topic. So for example, LOPSA is League of Professional System Administrators. That's a networking group specifically targeting technical people. I go to Knoxville once a month for that. I really enjoy it. This is a much larger group that has, as you see, 11,000 people. Probably not going to know anyone in that group. Social CEO, that's a group I joined a long time ago. I've never done anything with it, 20,000 members. So the groups range in size. Some of them are particularly narrow and specific. Some of them are more general. So this is going to be a much general topic. There's Exchange 2003, Exchange 2007, Exchange 2010, Exchange 2012, Exchange 2000, there's going to be like 7 different versions of Exchange that might be covered in this particular topic, whereas this is a much more specific and narrowly grouped. So the value of being in groups is the opportunity to talk with people about a particular topic. So meet other people in your industry, for example. So for example, let's talk about here's 108,000 members in this particular group. They're going to have conversations all over the place. And there's going to be a lot of people having conversations, and you can interact with people in your industry or within this particular topic of interest. And there's a great way to meet people and network and potentially even get work. I know of people who've gotten work from just interacting with these groups and meeting people within the field. So there's a good value if you decide to spend time working and connecting and talking to these groups. You've also got things like, there's an alumni group from my college that I was in here as well. I don't see it on this list, but groups are a great way to meet other people, and it also demonstrates that you have interest in this topic. So as people are looking at your profile, they'll see, hey, you're interacting and engaging in this way, as well as meeting people within that. So let's get a bit more specific in terms of what to do when looking for. So this is all great preliminary stuff. How do you actually start looking for jobs, or how do you start connecting with people? So a couple of different things is you can essentially search for a company if there's a particular company that you want to look for, or you can start searching for specific jobs. So let's take a look here at, say, Ballot. Ballot is local. You can see that on LinkedIn, they have posted 587 jobs. Now, I imagine that a lot of this is pre-COVID, because like many other places, they're furloughing people at this moment. I can't imagine that these positions are actually open, but who knows? So you can go on Ballot's company page on Facebook and look at what positions they have open. You can also see that, oh, I've got connections of people that work here. You can see that there are employees of Ballot who have said that they work here as well. The value in knowing this is maybe you're connected to someone who works here, and if you have a better connection, so for example, this is one of my friends, Kevin works in the marketing department at Ballot. So I can see that he is a first degree referral, meaning I am directly connected with him, as opposed to some of these second degree referrals, which means that we have a shared connection. So that apparently, I don't know who this person is, but apparently 4 of the people that I'm connected with know who this person is. I don't know who this person is, but apparently 17 people that I'm connected with know who this person is. That gives me an opportunity to ask, say, one of my friends or one of the people I'm connected with for an introduction. That's a great opportunity. So this person is Vice President of Information Technology Operations. This might be a great person for me to know. I don't know, but I've got 17 people that I could ask to see if this would be a good, if they know this particular person directly. So see also that I can message Kevin because we're first tier connections. However, I would have to ask to connect first with this other person in order to be able to talk to them. So the value here is I can see that Kevin works here, and I can send him a message, and we can initiate a conversation, or I could say, oh, this person is in this particular position, and that's probably better for me to meet that person than just to send a random application online. The general principle is that if you can have an in-person connection, that's going to be more value than just a random application online. Personal is always going to be better. So I could say connect, and if you're asking me to connect, you can put in a message. I'm not going to do it because I'm not actually trying to meet this person. But this would be a great example for someone in my position to get to know. Now I'll notice also here's yet another thing where they want you to spend money. So if you don't know Pam, I can send an in-mail, which is an unsolicited email basically to that person directly, but guess what? It requires you to pay for it. That's just how they monetize the platform. So I can go on Ballot and I can see that they've got these 587 job openings, and I can start scrolling through the list if I wanted to work for Ballot in particular. I can also search for a particular job within Ballot. I can sort by most recent, for example. Let's see what they've posted recently. Well, I guess they're posting positions even within this past week, essentially. So that's not bad. I do know that it's been in the news that they furloughed a bunch of people. You can sort by when it was posted. Do you need stuff here? And you can even start posting by experience. So apparently they have 2 executive level. Let's see what the executive level, just for grins. Okay, well, partnership in urology and interventional cardiologist. Okay, well, see, there you go. So they're posting fairly high tier positions on LinkedIn to try and attract people. So that's a great sign for them. You can also contrast that with, say, Eastman Chemical. Eastman's a big company in Kingsport, and they only have 82 jobs. They've got something like 9,000, 10,000 people working at Eastman. Ballot is I think a little bit bigger, but notice how Eastman, okay, so I guess they're down at this point, but Eastman has less jobs posted on LinkedIn than Ballot, even though they're close to the same size in company, and at least in terms of employees. So once again, I could go through, I could start looking through the list of people who might be good opportunities to meet with, who might be good connections for me to meet with. Usually when I'm doing this, it's in the context of me trying to network with, say, an IT person or an IT manager, because I want to go in and I want to see what I can do to provide services as Aegis IT. However, job searching is completely different, and you would treat that differently. Okay, so you can go through this list and you can see who is here, and we can also go through and look at those. So that's great, because that's if you know what kind of company, or if you know the name of the company that you actually want to work for. So in contrast, let's say that you want to search for a particular type of job, because that's generally more what's going to be in line. So maybe I don't want to work at Eastman because, I don't know, take your pick, the campus is particularly smelly. I don't know. Maybe you just don't want to work at Eastman, or maybe you don't want to work at Ballot because you have reasons for not wanting to work at Ballot. So let's take a look for a general job. So up here, I just decided to search for system administrator. There's what I assumed was going to be the case. There's not a whole lot of opportunities within the immediate region. There's just not a whole lot of opportunities for this particular line of work here. If I were to change it to, say, New York City or Dallas or Los Angeles or a big metro area, that number is going to go up substantially. So in my case, I did a search for the keyword system administrator. It's a type of job that I've done in the past. I do a lot of system administration work. And what you'll see is that very few results came up with those actual words. In fact, this is basically the only search result that has the 2 words system and administrator directly in the job heading. In fact, what it came back with is administrative assistant, which has absolutely nothing to do with the type of job I'm looking for, but keep in mind it has this keyword in the job description. So what you might have to do if you can't find is, let's expand the region, because right now I've got it narrowed down to 25 miles within Bristol, Tennessee. So maybe if I expand my reach, notice you can see, oh, here's something that has, now I've suddenly got more jobs that have the exact words of system administrator within the title. And so now we can start seeing information about the position, maintaining PCs, virtual machine servers, and printers for all departments within the bank. So this is now starting to get into an actual system administrator position. And as I'm looking through the list, I look at the job requirements. This is all pretty standard. This is all pretty standard. This all looks pretty standard. So like this is a pretty standard system administration type position. So I can go through and here's your requirements, and you can start looking for requirements. What do they have? Okay, you need a degree, you need knowledge of Windows, VMware, written oral instructions, just the normal list of jobs. Okay, so here's your estimated salary. This will be based on whether the company posts it or not. Not everyone's going to post a salary listing on the job, but that's a good thing. You can also even search, by the way, for a salary. You can search to make sure that jobs are going to be listed within a certain pay range as you're filtering through. So if I wanted to, I could save this for later, and I could basically click save, and this will show up on my list of saved job searches, or I could even directly apply for it here. Now I'm not interested in applying for it, but you'll notice that it's taking me to an external link. I've got things blocked on my web browser, so that's not going to redirect properly. But this is now going outside LinkedIn, but it still takes you the ability to apply directly on the page. So you could apply for this position now that I've searched for it, now that I know it's within a certain range, and that's just a great way to do it. So in order to get here, I went from home to jobs. I had all these preloaded because I didn't want to sit there waiting for things to search. But when I click on the jobs, this is the main jobs tab. Here's all these recommended based on what I've searched for, because I did some preliminary searching, but also what I've got in my work history. So there you go. Amazon's hiring because they have high levels of demand for their services. They apparently need an IT manager out in Murfreesboro. That's a bit far. I don't really want to go out to Murfreesboro, but apparently also I have a connection that's out there, and I probably know who that friend is because I have a friend that lives in Murfreesboro and does work for Amazon. So there you go. LinkedIn knows that. And so I could search, I could basically go through and scroll through this list here. Now let's contrast that to, so here's Eastman and Ballad. Now let's contrast that to, say, a recruiter. Now TEKsystems is a recruiter. They actually support the LOPSA group that I'm at, the League of Professional System Administrators. We actually meet in their office out in Knoxville. Notice how Ballad had 587, Eastman had 82. Well, these guys have more than Eastman and Ballad combined. But you know what? They're recruiters. They do this for a living. So LinkedIn is great for connecting with recruiters if you want to use a recruiter. Recruiters are the ones who are going to be using LinkedIn pretty heavily, and they're the ones who are paying for the premium services. And you can see that here's some of the people that are working there. This is one of the individuals that will attend the meetings that I go to. And you can see that once again, she's got the premium. Yeah, 900 plus results. This person's connected with a lot of people. It used to show the exact result. And I do remember seeing a recruiter that's local here in Bristol had like 25,000 connections on LinkedIn, which I think is just crazy. But hey, that's what he does for a living. So in her particular case, you can see that she is paying for the premium. That allows her to directly contact people. It gives a bunch of other features that I just don't pay for. And you can also see here's all these recruiters, and guess what? They're all paying for LinkedIn. So those are the people who are more likely to monetize LinkedIn and pay for the extra premium services. I just don't need it, so I don't pay for it. But these are great. The recruiters will post lots of jobs. If you're in an industry that you can use recruiters, this is a great way to connect and find local recruiters. You can see that these guys are tech recruiters, like they're recruiting technical people. So that's how I'm going to know them and be connected with them. These are far more applicable jobs, frankly, than what I even searched for when I did a search for local jobs here. So when I do a search for jobs in my area for system administrator, and you can see here's my job search, it's saved in my job search history. Then I came back with limited results because there's just limited in the area. However, these guys are recruiting all over the country. In fact, here's a operations in China. So these guys are a worldwide company. You can see they've got a list of jobs that are far more applicable to what I'd be doing, as long as I'm willing to travel and go somewhere else. So just like with everything, what you put into it is going to determine how much you get out of it. And I have found, like, the things that I have found helpful is the ability to connect with people as I do sales, and to connect with people as I make clients. For example, this is one of my clients. This is the guy asked for a recommendation, and I can see that Andrew and I have 243 of the same connections on LinkedIn. Frankly, I think that number is a little bit low, but because he and I know a lot of the same people, but that's who we've mutually connected with on LinkedIn. So I can go over here, and I used to be able to just scroll for days and start looking for everybody on his list, and you can see it just goes on and on and on, because Andrew's one of those guys that knows a lot of people. If you start clicking through here and keep clicking through here, LinkedIn's eventually going to pop up a message that says, hey, it looks like you're searching for people. Please pay for this. So that's unfortunate. I used to be able to do this more 10 years ago. So this would allow me to say, I can see that Andrew knows this person at this company, and maybe this person would be a good connection for me to talk to them about IT services, or maybe this company looks interesting and I can go search online or see if they've got a company page here to try and find work for. So additionally, because I know that they're connected with Andrew, this is someone that I know, I could ask Andrew to directly to say, hey, can you introduce me to this particular person? I don't know this person. He works at ETSU. ETSU would be a great connection because they're a big university. They've got 10,000, 15,000 people there, and there would be value for me to know this person. Well, now I can go to Andrew and say, do you mind introducing me to this person? So this allows me to ask for more targeted connections in relation to work and potentially getting a job. So key principles is make sure you've got a great profile, make sure you fill it out, make sure you ask for endorsements, make sure you ask for referrals. And as you apply for jobs, you can save the jobs that you're searching for. You can save the jobs that you've applied for. You can have alerts. You can set LinkedIn to give you alerts when people post jobs with a particular set of keywords. Be prepared for a lot of email, because as soon as I did a search for something in preparation for this talk, I started getting emails recommending jobs with these particular categories. And I was like, okay, well, that is what it is. I don't need those emails at this time, but that is what it is, and just be prepared. They will, if you say email me, they will email you. If you're a company, you can also post a job. And yeah, so I would need to go through and sign up, because once again, this is a premium feature. You'd have to pay for it. I don't really want to pay for it. But I was going to see if I could show you how to post a job, because then you could see what they're looking for, how you're setting keywords, and that's just pertinent to as you're actually applying for the position. So at this point, Sandy, I haven't checked to see if there's any. Have you had any questions in chat?
Not so far.
Okay. So I have been happy with LinkedIn. I don't spend nearly as much time on it as I used to, in part because they've removed a lot of the features that I used to have access to, and they want you to pay for it. I have found this to be useful for meeting people, for connecting with people, and for being able to do research into companies that might be of value to me in this immediate area, as well as who would I need to meet at that company. It's great. So if you're wanting to get hired and you need to find the hiring manager, well, let's go search for the hiring manager on LinkedIn. And maybe now there's an opportunity to connect with them in person, or find out that your friend from high school happens to know this person, or your friend down the street, or your neighbor across the street or something knows this person, and now you can ask for more personal introduction. More personal introductions are always valuable, as opposed to just applying online. And I highly recommend being able to do it that way. So at this point, if there's more, so you can do things like with the alerts are great. There's all sorts of alerts in terms of when people are posting jobs. My also recommendation is if you're in a position looking for work, I would highly recommend that you treat the job search as a full-time job. So if you're looking for something and you're looking for 40 hours of work, spend 40 hours of work looking for a job. Additionally, make sure this is not the only place that you're applying jobs. Monster.com, Dice.com, those are more technical related job search places, but don't make this your only tool. This is a great tool. This is a phenomenal tool, and it's a tool I've used for about 15 years to different degrees, depending on what features they make available for free. But don't let this be the only tool that you use. So at this point, are there questions or feedback, or because at this point we need to start paying for the premium features to be able to get access to more.
I did get a question if we were recording it, and yes, we are. And I will put this up on the incubator's Facebook page afterwards, and have it also on our YouTube channel for the New Knowledge series. Another one I was going to mention to folks that are looking for positions in either policy, nonprofit professionals, or political. There's a service called Daybook, DAYBOOK.com, that somehow I got on their mailing list, and every day they send out job postings. That again, that's in it's daybook.com, and it's anything that's in political, policy, or nonprofit professionals, if anyone has an interest. Any other questions for Jonathan?
This is the back side of what the company, like what a company page looks like, so you can start, I don't really post a whole lot here, but this is if you have your own company, or you get asked to manage something for a company, they have a whole set of tools dedicated. It's similar to Facebook in that way. And actually Facebook has been moving into LinkedIn's territory, because they, within the past year, are offering jobs and other such resources as well. Once again, this is just one tool in what is hopefully a list of tools to be able to try and find what you're looking for.
Anybody? Well, that means that you must have told them everything they needed to know, Jonathan.
Well, I was going to say, it means we can't interact in person because we're trying to do this over chat, which is, I always like interacting with people directly, but, given what's going on with Corona,
yes,
this is what it is.
Yeah, and I would think, too, going forward, none of us know what the new economy or the new business norm is going to be, but I think things like LinkedIn is going to come handy. I know for me personally, if I'm doing business with anyone, usually before I go meet with them, I look them up on LinkedIn to get an idea, especially if it's professional and they want to hire. I want to hire them for something. I definitely check them out on LinkedIn. And
absolutely,
the groups on LinkedIn has helped me out on some jams many times too. If you've got questions, what's going on in your industry, reach out into those groups. But
yeah, in my case, I put as much stuff as I can on LinkedIn because I want people to find me in the professional context, and I hide as much as I can on Facebook because, well, it's just personal, and I'm not trying to advertise that. So
and people will get upset if you're doing a lot of promotion, me on LinkedIn, definitely, and they will block you or drop you or call you to task on it.
Yep. So my recommendation as well is make it as professional as possible. And if you're posting something on LinkedIn, make sure it's as professional as possible. That's why I try and fill out my profile. And if I post something on LinkedIn, I want to make sure it's industry related, or, I'm not posting pictures of whatever meal I ate recently, because that fits in more on an Instagram or Facebook or, a private social media or personal social media. This is really geared towards business networking, which is why I've hung in on the platform for so long and why I really like it. Like, it is there to help you connect with people in the context of business and networking and making money.
It's kind of like being involved in a chamber, except it's on steroids many, many times, because you've got such a large, broad market.
Yep.
Well, thanks again, Jonathan. And for those of you joining in, I appreciate you spending your lunch hour with us. And as I say, we will get these the video uploaded, and you can use this as a resource. So everyone stay safe, stay healthy, and until we meet again.
Thanks for letting me talk, Sandy.